I chose to be a teacher because I always wanted to have like a summer program where kids would come and make films. And I didn't know at the time, I was in Tennessee, in Nashville, Tennessee, that's where I'm from. I didn't know at the time that the AV programs had grown to the level that they had in high school. And I met a church member at this random just networking thing our church was having. It wasn't even a job fair, it was just basically go out and meet people. I met a church member who was actually working in a school district and they had a job open. And that's how I guess I ended up coming into teaching. I never planned to be a teacher at all growing up or in college. My high school years were good. I was an athlete, so I played basketball and I loved it. And in high school, I thought I was going into architecture. I went to a magnet school, so everybody, like you had to make certain grades just to go to the school. So everybody at our school was, focused on going to college, and the track that I thought I was going was architecture. But when I got a basketball scholarship, that school didn't have architecture, so it kind of made me have to rethink my path and find a new route. How do I act around students? Around students, I am relaxed. I am probably more carefree than I am around teachers. I'd rather be around students than teachers. I don't know, it's just been a thing that I've always done. When I was in Nashville, I never ate lunch with teachers ever. In 3 years of teaching, I always ate lunch with my students. They would come to my room and we'll watch movies or play video games. We used to play Xbox at lunch. But I always just like being cool with students, being comfortable with students, and hopefully they're comfortable with me. I guess really the only way I can help students be better in school is just tell them about some of the life experiences I have. Like, I know I've said to some kids, growing up, you never think that some of the people you go to school with will be homeless or on the streets. And then, within 5 years of me graduating high school, I was riding down the street one day and I saw a girl I went to school with standing on the corner holding a sign, asking for money. And I think sometimes with our kids, we like to be too cool at times instead of being focused on where our dreams are, where our goals are going to be. We don't give the kind of work ethic we need to reach our goals a lot of times, not knowing that real life is around the corner and real life is nowhere near as forgiving as North Shore Senior High School is. And sometimes in real life, although we would like to think there's always second chances, there's not always. So I try to tell my kids that, you need to put effort into your stuff and always give your best, because you never know where it's going to lead you. You never know where your path may go, who you may work with in the future. So it's good to build a good reputation. And I guess that's one of the ways I kind of try to help kids perform better. I went AV Productions and Animation because I don't have a degree in education. So I can't teach English, I can't teach math. I'm horrible at math. You don't want me to teach math. And my bachelor's is in mass media communications and my master's is in motion pictures and television. So, it's kind of right down my alley. I never wanted to be a teacher when I was little. I had no desire of being a teacher. Never thought there was a chance in the world that I would be a teacher. And, sometimes life pushes you towards things that you didn't think would happen because maybe that's the better place for you. So I kind of fell into teaching. I like teaching and I enjoy teaching. Besides being a teacher, I work on just doing video production work, I still want to make a feature-length film at some point in my life. I'm still young, have plenty of time to do it. I just need to, give me a script, give me a crew, and go out there and do it. So any video work, I love video, I love graphic work, photography, anything in that creative realm, I would consider doing, and I do on the side from time to time. The only other teacher, I have a cousin that's a teacher, and I have my mother-in-law who is a university professor. She teaches nursing. So those are only teachers I have. My cousin is a teacher, teaches high school. I think she's an English teacher, but that's about it. Would I consider myself to become a principal? Before spring break, they had me in the hallway, I guess like a administrator head, administrative figure, and I like being in the classroom. I guess there's some good things about being a principal, but when you're a principal, a lot of times you can't share in the fun things that happen in school because you always have to deal with the problems that happen in school. I don't know if I want to be a principal. I would consider it, but at this point, I'm not anywhere, sure or even really thinking about being a principal. My favorite course in college was Holocaust Films. Holocaust Films was the first class I took in video production, and it was really the class that made me decide that I was going to go into video. I had originally started thinking I was going to be in pharmacy, and I was awful in botany, and I was like, I had to take it. I'm awful. I'm gonna change. So I went to mass media, and I was in radio. But when I took Holocaust Films, it really showed me how much more video can impact and change people more so than just radio can, and that's what led me to video production. In 5 years, I would assume I'm still teaching in 5 years. Besides that, I don't know. Things happen. Life happens. Sometimes things that you want to happen don't. Sometimes things you don't plan do happen. So I guess teaching. We'll see. My teaching style is very free and open. I want kids to learn by doing, and I don't want kids to learn by just memorizing. I want kids to actually be able to execute things. So a lot of times I want to see them do it, and I say, oh, well, tweak this, tweak that, because especially in video production or animation, I could give paper tests all day, but if you can't actually shoot a video properly, or you can't actually animate a character correctly, then none of that matters if you can put it on paper and say, well, this is how you do it if you can't do it. So I guess that's my teaching style. Show, let the kids do, and then after they show that they've had the basic concept, pushing them to develop more complex projects. The worst lesson that I ever taught. I wouldn't say worse, because everything has a purpose, but the most boring by far is video history and animation history. Those lessons are boring. Like, they're so boring, I don't even like teaching them, but I have to because the teachers tell me I have to teach them. But I really dislike the history of video production and the history of animation. It is horrible. Well, my classroom is rough to organize because I'm in a tight space with, I think we have 25 student computers in here. So I try to have my classroom organized so that all our kids are facing our projector. So if I'm going through something they can see. We have our equipment room to keep our gear stored, the stuff that could grow legs and walk away. Make sure nobody walks off with those things. Those are in there. And I have my office, which is no longer functioning as a teacher office because I was never in there. So that is my advanced animation room, and hopefully next year will be my audio production room, so we can do voiceovers and make soundtracks and things for our projects. So I guess that's how my classroom's organized. The only other career I've ever thought about possibly doing is architecture, because I still really love architecture. I wanted to design houses when I was growing up. In high school, I used to do that because we had architecture like we do here at North Shore, how we have Project Lead the Way. I was in the Project Lead the Way program, and I loved architecture and civil engineering of designing, structures, whether it be a house or a building or a bridge. I love doing that. So civil engineering or architecture is probably what I would be doing if I did anything differently. The best part of my job is when you see completed projects that are better than what you thought. Sometimes I know what students are really good and what students are okay or struggling, but sometimes you are surprised by projects. Some groups that you thought were struggling end up making a lot better projects than what you thought. And when you see a project that is really good, it is wonderful, but when you really see one that is better than you thought it was gonna be, it's even better. I never taught in elementary. I have only taught in high school, and this is my 4th year in high school. I've been teaching for 4 years. My first year teaching, I actually only taught 2 classes because I was at a brand new school. We only had freshmen and sophomores. So my first year teaching, I only taught 2 classes the whole day. Any heroes? You know what? I don't have any heroes. I guess I have some people who have helped mentor me along the way, whether it be coaches or maybe club sponsors that I was in high school. Of course, your parents. And I've had some other adult figures in my life that have helped me along the way. But, so I guess those could be my heroes, my mentors, I guess. How much homework do I give? In my class, in particular, I don't give homework. I feel like homework is good for core classes because, we need to have English and math and science if you want to go to college, which everybody should hope to go to college and want to go to college. So in my class, I don't want to burden students with homework. Now, we will have projects that you have to shoot outside of school sometimes. And if you don't have finishing class, you may have to edit projects, but I don't say like, take this worksheet home, fill it out and come back, or go do these questions and come back. I don't give homework like that. To calm an angry parent. Usually what I've learned is when you have an angry parent, they're usually angry because of lack of information. Whether the information did not come from you as a teacher, whether the student didn't present the information, if it was a handout or something they didn't give, or miscommunication in general. Maybe you said something to a student and the student misinterpreted. That's usually when parents are angry. When you finally sit down with a parent or you actually get a parent on the phone and you have a conversation without resorting or without jumping to anger, or even if you have to talk a parent down a little bit, you usually can kind of explain whatever situation is, why a grade is low because of a particular thing. And then once you explain that, parents usually calm down because like I said, most things are usually just a lack of communication or miscommunication. I've never had to really deal with something really serious. The one book I'm currently reading right now, usually I like fiction, but I am reading the narrative of the life of Frederick Douglass right now. And it's random, and yes, it is. I stole the book from one of my students at my last school. She left it on my table, and it was a cheap book. It was only like $2, but I stole it, and I didn't realize it was hers at the time, but I started reading it, and it's pretty good. And then I tweeted her, or I texted her a photo so she knows I stole the book. But she's in college now, so she doesn't need it. As a student, I was one of those students that could make good grades because I was intelligent, but I was lazy. So if I could, barely work hard and get a B, that's exactly what I would do. Even though I probably could have got an A if I actually tried, I wouldn't try a lot of times, or I wouldn't try my hardest. It depends. If it was a class I liked, like my engineering classes, I would always have all A's and O's, but if we were in science class, even though I probably could have got an A, I would have a B because I didn't really care enough. But I usually wasn't disruptive, but I was disruptive at times. I did push teachers' buttons. It was a big thing in my school. We used to throw Skittles across the room. Like we hit people with Skittles, and you get really accurate, hit somebody with Skittle on the other side of the room. Especially in band class, because when you hit that Skittle against like, a tuba, that Skittle makes that little clack noise and it just irritates the heck out of teachers. So I used to do stuff like that. I think I am very flexible. Some people get bent out of shape when their routines change. I'm not that way. Actually, when I took over before spring break in my administrative duties, I was sitting in class the day of late arrival, and Principal Bush just walked in and was like, well, we need you in the halls today. Do you mind if we take you in the halls and you not be in class for today? And I was like, sure. And I got in the halls and Mr. Guillory, or Principal Guillory, was like, well, we need you the next couple of days too. I was like, okay, fine. So, some people that may have been an issue with them, but with me, it's not a problem. What part of this job scares me? No part of this job scares me. I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm not afraid of kids, students. I'm not afraid of teachers. I'm not afraid of parents. I'm not afraid of administration. Now, not saying I'm not afraid doesn't mean I don't respect them, but I'm not afraid of anything with this job. If I was principal at the school, what changes I would make? Well, if I was the principal of this school, some of the changes I would make would deal with, I guess, probably some of these fillers things. Like, these fillers drive me crazy. You know, I don't really understand the purpose of fillers. I would probably change something with that. If I couldn't change something with fillers, I would probably want to try to change the student expectation of our school. I think a lot of times our kids get wrapped up on the fact, well, did I come to school or not? But then they're like, well, I came to school every day, but you came to school every day and you have an F or a D. It doesn't matter if you come to school every day if you're failing everything. So I think sometimes we need to, our students need to buckle down and realize it's not just about coming to school, but it's what you do at school once you get here.